Hello folks, and welcome to Tim's Offgrid. Today I'm going to be building a passive solar heater. I've watched a lot of different videos on YouTube and a lot of different ways that people build these. I've got some different ideas than a lot of them that I've seen. And the thing with this is, you build out your frame, you build out your heat collection apparatus, whatever that may be, whether that's cans, gutter material, drip edge, whatever. But the idea I have is, what if this could be a two-pass system? What if I could initially bring it over top of my heat transfer area, bring it behind, and bring it back through? So a two-pass system. I've seen labyrinth systems. I've seen many single-pass systems. I've seen systems that go above your heat transfer surface as well as below your heat transfer surface. But what if I could go above the heat transfer surface, behind it, and back through it? So a two-pass system. I don't know if I can get that done or not, but I'm going to give it a try. And that's why we went with 2x8s versus 2x4s or 1x4s or anything like that. I wanted to give this a good structure so it could be moved around without falling apart and have enough surface area to where I could do multiple passes. I'm also going to use insulating material for my system, and I have a heat transfer fan that we're going to use that has variable speeds. And right now I'm using a 120 volt for that fan. Later perhaps we make this more off-grid with a solar panel and a 12 volt fan or something like that. So I'm going to film some of the segments of this and show you some of the ideas that I come up with and how I'm going to do this. And this is going to be based off 30x36 pane of glass to go over the top of it. And we'll show you all the different steps of putting it together. So first, obviously I cut 33x36, so I'd have overlap on the top and bottom of the sides. So I'm going to get this stuff screwed together and we're going to go from there. I'm going to pre-drill all my holes because we're so close to the edge. I don't want anything to crack. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit as I drill the sides and go through that. And I'm still using my adapter to my Black & Decker batteries. All my DeWalt batteries are inside the house. I'll get them later. This I can see already. It's not that well. So I'll go get my batteries here in a minute. And meaning swapping them back and forth is not going to work. And I notice this, whether it's this edge of this board or the edge of this board is taller, but they're flat on the bottom, which is interesting. So when I put my trim over the top, I may flip this over because I know that that side will be the flattest side. So just something to remember. I'll pause and go grab the rest of my batteries. And I'll go to the opposite side and go do the same. I'll take a couple screws with me. All right, we're going to check our measurements before I screw these pieces in. You can't force a piece of glass in. Looks good. Good. All right, looking good. I'll go ahead and screw this in first. The next thing would be lay out these wooden dowels. And I got 1 inch by 36 inches wooden dowels. This would be what we lay in here. Hold the glass in here. So, I'm going to move the camera and reposition for this segment. The purpose of the dowels would be to hold that glass in place. Now, the dowels don't need to be that far down. So, the glass I think was 3/32. So, we will go down just enough to cover that. So that's, let's see here. I'm thinking if we do like a 1/4 inch plus, that gives us room for the glass, and if we need any insulating material or anything. So I'm going to drill a few holes in here so we can screw this on. And look, I'm the guy that will always do more. So anything I build is always like pretty robust. Some people use much thinner material, much smaller material. This is probably way too many screws in here. But that's okay. We can go fewer screws later. The good thing about using screws is I don't have to worry about how to get a nail out later. Because if I want to change the height or anything on this, it's way easier with screws. I just unscrew it, rebuild it. So that's one reason I'm building this out of screws mainly, is if I don't like something, I can easily redo it. Now, let me pause for a second. I need to find something that will set my depth easily, because all I want to do is lay something on here that sets my depth, put the center screw in, level it, and then screw the sides. So hold tight. What I found to set the depth is I took apart a couple like carpenter squares, and these two stacked on top of each other. That depth is adequate. So if I set that depth right here on the middle one, alright, and I screw this middle one in, I just need to level the left and right side. And there we go. And that's what's good about doing this 30 by 36 is I don't even have to cut these dowels the first time. So obviously I drilled way too many holes. You can see the first one. You only need 3 holes. It's just a piece of glass. went ahead and put the other dowel in, and then I test fit the glass, and we were slightly off because, you know, constructing it, I was slightly off. So I've backed out these screws. Now I've got it flat and flush. I'm gonna go ahead and put these screws on this end back in. Good on that end, and this end, let me go ahead and get these in. I'll start with the bottom first. Alright, that's looking good. That's really flush on the edges, and then I'm just going to add the cross dowel across the top. Okay. All right, I'll get my pencil, I'll mark this one, cut it off. Yes. Love it. Classic. Very nice. And for this one, I can line it up on the two edges on the sides to know that I get the depth right. And then I'm just going to screw it, drill it, screw it in. Alright, last one. Hard to do much with this, but try not to let it slow me down or stop me. should use a truck tool. There we go. Fantastic. Now, there'll be a next layer of dowels that come down here because I'm going to put a flat board plus insulation and I'm going to mount the metal heat transfer surface in there. So that's coming up next. So I flipped the box over and I'm looking at what depths I have left in here, you know, moving these dowels around. So the next thing I want to do is have the dowels at a depth to where I can put a layer of insulation in here, as well as some of the wood backing from here, and then my drip edge or corrugated metal, so to speak, that I'll have. So first things first, I need to cut a 30 by 36 piece of styrofoam off the 4 by 8 sheet. So I'm going to do my 36 on this edge. And I'll do my 30 on the long edge. Alright, I'll pop a couple lines on here and then we'll cut out with our, I got the Klein Tools flick blade folding utility knife. I went ahead and bought a new one because I got through so many of these. Well, I bought anything I thought I might need while I was at the store. Alright, let me get ready to pop a line. I'm going to pause this for a second. So I got the DeWalt one, and wow, that's really nice construction compared to some of the ones I've had in the past. You're doing your chalk lines. And then obviously you're gonna have to come in here and see if there's a tamper seal. Obviously not, but you need to cut the nipple off of here. And once that's done, we'll go ahead and fill this up. But you wanna cut some good lines. This is how you do it. And look, this is super cool with how this cap comes on there and screws on and off. All right, there we go. Fatal error. I may have put the powder in there, but I didn't shake it up. That's plan B, in case that didn't work. And that was my plan B right here. 'Cause I don't have time to keep shaking that thing up. that'll work. I don't want this to go in yet because we want to cut a piece of this paneling to go in first because I'm going to glue the drip edges to the piece of paneling. So essentially, we're going to put the paneling in, we're going to put the insulation in, I'm going to put these in to support it from the bottom, and then we'll come back from the top and screw those pieces in, glue those pieces in. Behind this, we'll put another layer of insulation. Oh boy. Same idea over here, 36. Brilliant. So it didn't work so well on that styrofoam, but I had a plan B for the styrofoam. Did work well on this. Everything looks good on it. Okay. All right. In theory, we want this piece to sit in there. Hey! We have to trim it just a little bit. Put it down, see if it makes any difference. Big difference. What I want to do is put spacers in here that we'll be able to take back out. So let me find some of the cut pieces. So I want about 2 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the 6 inches off of both of these so I can have a spacer on the other side as well. That 2 inches will give me room for the corrugated metal that's in there, which is the drip edge that we're going to be using. So, this 2-inch spacer, I'm going to put on either side. And we could actually leave that in there. Let me do this, so it's not falling out and doing all kinds of stuff on us. But, the more I think about it, we'll want metal pieces going all the way. But we may just screw it in for right now, but we're going to take it back out because we'll want as much metal in here as we can get. But for now, I don't want these pieces falling out. Yep, because I can see how they're going to be falling in and out the whole time I'm trying to build this. So I'm going to go ahead and screw them in, but we'll be able to stick the drill in here and take them back out when we're ready. I love this because we're just using all the material we already have. This construction is super simple so far, and I'm talking you through, the whys and hows. I'm wanting to design this to use this out in my garage in West Virginia. So I'm not using as energy to keep my pipes warm if I have something like this. All right, so again, the idea is I need the wood backing first, and that's what I can adhere all my metal to. Let's make sure I get the right tension so this goes down in there. If I remember correctly, it may be different. Maybe flip it around. Yeah. And I may do need to trim just a little bit off because it's about to bust out in this one corner. Putting this side down. Super tight. All right. I'm going to take a little bit off. This will fit a little bit better. It will make up for any gaps that end up in here. Took some more off that whole edge. So the idea is I get this flat right here. It's okay that that's doing its thing right now. You'll see why. Put my layer of insulation in here. Let's see if there's any one way that's better than the other with this in here. Slightly trimming this to fit as well, because I kind of busted out over here. Got in my groove I can see. We ended up with some extra material. So, I'll fill that in as well. So, my adjustment. Now that I've got that, I can put the side pieces in here to hold that. Right? That's where these two will come in. We'll get to the level based on the piece we put underneath there. What this is going to serve for is if we make this a multi-pass, I'll have another layer that goes on top of here. We go across the metal, and then we come inside here and back across. So across the metal, down through here, and then inside the metal all the way back up. That's my idea. And on top of, we probably need a 3-inch. On top of that last piece of insulation, we have a backing board of plywood as well. So again, I'm building this to where it could be a 2-pack system. You will need to do some testing and ideas around, does it make any sense? Because my original background was in nuclear power, there's not too many things that I like to think about that's just a single pass, especially if I want to preheat the air from the first pass. Now, this is where I would come in here and tap on some of these and make sure they're level. And we can get out our tape measure and see what we got. So I've got like a 2 3/4 and, I'm sorry, 1 3/4, and I got 2 right there. So you can go down a little bit. Make that side pop up. In the middle, you know, we're right about 2, right about almost 2 there, and right about almost 2 there. So pretty level there. And over here, same thing, 2, a little higher than 2, a little lower than 2. Now obviously, you see the gap I'm working with, so I would come down here. And we'll fix that in time because we'll screw that down through there. So, I'm looking for about 2. So we'll go ahead and pin drill. And this side is pretty much and we'll be able to come from above and screw down with 3-inch screws. And then I'll end up taking these 2 middle screws out so I can take the other dowels out. So it should have around 2 inches. So I'll have to hold down this one slightly. This is going in. Woo! You know, this is just another idea of how to make this, and I'm trying to put future improvements into it while I'm making it the first time. Then I'm going to take these middle screws out and I'm going to put side screws in. But not 3 inch. So these are 2-inch screws I'm using on the sides. All right, we'll flip this back over. Looks pretty good, all right? Now I'm gonna go back and we're gonna put the side pieces in underneath because we don't have them, but this is looking good. Yes. I'll talk to you in a second, all right?
I'll be outside.
Okay. Not going to be able to press that one down. Take a little off. Flip it over, now you'll see we've got our full box built to support everything we want to put in here. Fill that, that's pretty good. All right, now we're going to take the spacer pieces out. They should come right out, and we get to reuse these screws later on. Some of the 3-inch screws down through this to hold it in place. Out really good. It's my first time to build it too. This is all ideas I had in my own mind of things that I felt like could work. Now when we get to the actual testing of it, we'll see from there. But I think we have a really good proof of concept in terms of a model that we've built. I'll also weigh this so we know how much it weighs, etc. when it's all said and done. All right, that's that. Now, the next idea is the drip edge. Drip edge that's already black, so I don't even have to paint it black. So the idea would be, my idea is a first pass that goes over the drip edge and a second pass that goes back through the drip edge. Now, I'm reading this other chamber in the very, very back that could be used for another pass, whatever, you know, just different ideas. So the idea on this would be that it have some holes, whether they're in the top, where air draws into it, and then these will terminate just shy of the very end, and then air could come back through these. So that's one idea on a two-pass, but remember I'm also building the back of it in case I want to come up with some other ideas where we can use some hose and things like that to go across, make it go through some hoses through the back part, and then have it come back through again. So just some ideas. So we need to get on a standardized length. So I'm thinking that for this first one, we're going to terminate with a couple inches left because we got the fan, and we want all the air to channel up towards the fan. Now let me grab that. The fan will be in the back. You won't see this fan from the front because if we truly want this to work the way I want it to work, the air will go across the front of these, come down, go through them. They terminate flush, and then the fan is underneath. So just got to think about that. That may or may not work, but we may just get to a system that I've seen before and start doing some testing on a system that does both at the same time. But I really don't want to do that. All right, so I'm going to make these about maybe 32 inches. If we make them 29 inches, they shorter than the fan. My thing would be if we go longer than the fan, then the fan really pulls from the ones closest to it versus the ones over here. May not be a problem. Let's go with maybe I don't think it's going to be an issue really. All right, I'm going to go with 30. I'll go with 33. We can cut these off. We can cut them off if we need to do shorter later. This stuff's very bendable. This will be our template one. We'll cut the others too. That's pretty good because this is where I had to bend it to get it in the vehicle. And these waste pieces we can use on the sides that channel it. Alright, so one 10-foot piece, we have 3 pieces out of it. We may come up short in the long run. 4 pieces. We'll have to see. But I can also overlay the waste pieces if I run out and need more. So hopefully how I'm showing you step by step, you can build one of these similar, or you may have some better ideas. I'm hoping to get some good data. Today is very, very sunny, and I expect tomorrow may not be as sunny, but I expect to get some good testing soon. Alright, there's my 3 cuts on one side. Flip this over and get the other 3 cuts. Use paddle bits on that end to cut our inlet holes. We may make it using the spare pieces that we have and overlapping them. We may just make it. This shows my calculations were too far off. cool here is I can zip screw these things in or glue them in. There's many options to get these down on me. I got one more thing for and that's what I may do is zip screw them in, because if I don't like this iteration, they're not glued in place, I zip screw them in place and I can move them around. And then any exposed wood will hit with black paint. So we got one more piece. Looks like we're going to make it. Template anymore. Template anymore. Just see around the last cut. So this was 4 10-foot sections. So far, everything is made where I can take it apart and iterate on it if I don't like the initial proof of concept. And there we are. So, in theory, I could fit one more over there by changing its angle a bit. And then I'll overlap those pieces down there. Zip screws probably on that. Anyways. All right, so that's where we are now. So my idea is to drill holes above here. Air flows across, drill holes here. Air flows down and then can pass right out the back, or could pass through the chamber that I'm building. All right, so that's where we are, and we'll take a pause. I got to go get zip screws and all that good stuff. All right, we're back at it, and wanted to see how well the zip screws would work in here, and I reversed it so the flange is pointing this way, so I have a flange to zip screw into, and I set the drill on to number 6 because we're going into paneling over here. Oh. And it's working great. So, reversed it, screwed the first one in, screwed the end one in, and now I'm trying to screw one in the middle so I can get it flat. And wow, is that pretty flush, all right? So I'm gonna look at, should I continue with the flange going this way, or should I have the flange going that way? I wanna look at what the, and what I think is, that there's some overlap. And I think if I do flange to flange, maybe there's a better seal. Woohoo! Yeah, you gotta work with this material here. Alright, so if I screw this down, flange to flange, then I'm left with this that is pretty flat, but you could, for all intents and purposes, I can get a screw on this other edge. So let me try that. And then would I go like this and put 2 screws there, and then I have a flange again. I'm just looking at what makes the most sense. You also have the ability to overlap. So in this instance, I can overlap right there that has no flange onto what has flange. I can also take this that has a flange and roll it up underneath it. So chalk this up as a lesson learned that maybe I should have already done that on this one. And then I'm not going to do it this time. But I'm going to try a couple different things. Alright, so in essence, I'm just going to go ahead and zip screw this next flange down next to that one. I had to go to 8 to get that one going. Alright. And I can hit in between there with some black paint so everything stays nice and black. And then right here, I can overlap the oncoming one with the flange and screw both of them in one shot and see how that goes. And these zip screws are 1/2 inch. Just heads up. So if I come right here, maintaining about that same midpoint for consistency's sake, so this doesn't look like one of my current projects at my house that somebody else did with screws all over the place on my deck. At least this project's going to be consistent where we lay our screws. Again, the reason why I'm zip screwing these is if I want to change this design later on, I just unscrew everything. I don't have stuff that's caulked or glued in place. Look at that. All right, so we take the next flange, overlap it, and screw this down. And we keep doing that. Now this is going to eat up a 1/4 inch or so each time, but it's going to ensure that we have a really good seal across these pieces. So by the end I could run out of material and need to get another piece of drip edge. We'll just have to see. Now you could get different heights of this drip edge. This just happened to be like 1.58 inches on this drip edge material. I think they also had 2 inch and some other stuff. I just went with this. And maybe maybe there'll be some tests that I do later on where we do tests with 2-inch strip edge or maybe a 2.5-inch strip edge. No. Killing me. Couple more weeks, I'll come out of this thing. There was no longer overlapping, so I needed to push underneath it with a ruler to get that overlap. Look at that. I broke my rule down here. All of a sudden I got one that's out of control. My consistent line of zip screws. Not bad. I think this is going to work out really, really well. And I actually have worked out in my mind how we're going to get a 2-pass system on this with the initial air coming across the bottom, getting preheated, and then it'll go down through here because the fan's going to be behind it, and the fan's naturally they're going to draw air from here, go across, it's going to go down through these tubes, and then I'm going to drill holes behind these tubes where to go through the plenum that I created at the very back, and then the fan will be at the top of that plenum in the back. So I actually think it's going to work out really well. So however much we preheat that air on the first pass, and then the second pass, as it goes through these channels, it'll really pick up heat. And then it'll just go through the insulated return duct in the back, so to speak, that'll be insulated on both sides with 1-inch insulation. And then the fan will draw it out. So I do believe a two-pass system that preheats the air will give us the best efficiency. And then if not, I unscrew it and take it all apart. We start over. Just kidding. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get some really good results. But it'll be in the data. It actually looks very good. we'll be good. So I got 2 more pieces over there. And boom, look, I think that works excellently for the last one. All right. With that being right, and I've just thought about this, with that being right about 12.85 based on a 12.56, we're not taking into account any of the frictional losses for the air passing across here. So what I'm going to do is in the very middle, I'm going to do the 3/4. And then the 2 sides, at the extreme sides, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch drill bit. And then I'm going to do the rest at 5/8. So that gets us at 13, that'll be 9 at 5/8, 10 and 11 at 1/2 inch, the 12th one at 3/4, and then maybe I'll just add one more 1/2 inch one. Let's do that. And none of this is exact science, but I'm trying to be smart about, supply and return. But trying to take into account that there is different static pressure that you're dealing with on the supply and return. So not trying to nuke it out, but just trying to be sensible about not just come in here and drill a whole bunch of 1/2 inch holes, but there was no science behind it. Because all in, you gotta trust the science. Anyway, here we go. So there's our 5/8 that we need. And plus, I would venture to say the 2 extreme sides, I can get a paddle bit in that side, so that being a 1/2 inch drill bit is way better anyways. The good thing too is we're drilling down right now, so this material can fall. I'll push this over here so this material can fall right onto the floor versus anything else too. We'll do the 3/4 first, which will be the one in the very middle. That will probably always be the hottest one anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one in the middle. I'll have to fix that one. So you got to remember, don't go all the way through because the metal is down on that side. So that's something to remember. The other thing is we need that other sheet on here too. So let me do that right quick. Because right now this is the plenum and we need to drill through both pieces. So let me stop and take the time to cut the other piece that needs to go here to complete that plenum. Before we go, we need to drill some of the holes that we need to drill. We need to go ahead and cut our next piece of styrofoam. So I was starting to get ahead of myself. Good. Good so far. And then we cut the second piece 30 by 36. And if you cut it just shy of 30 by 36, you'll probably have less issues getting it into the frame. We shall see. try leveraging it like this. So you want to push this one all the way to the frame that you built it from there. Now what we have is a plenum sandwiched between two pieces in there. The last thing we need is one more piece of the plenum to go on here. All right. This paneling has been in my shop since I bought the house many years ago. It's been behind my workbench, so we're going to put it to good use now. We're getting there. Before you know it, we'll put the glass up. Excellent. I'm going to lean this over here. Everything stacked up over here a little bit. Try to speed this along and get to the next part. Oh. I was about to say, it's definitely wrong here. times. So we're gonna come in just under 36. Because I already know the box is not square. I don't think I've ever been able to build anything square. This is here. Alright, last cut. And then we'll get back on track. Look, this is one of those benefits of using that 2x8 is we have so much space that was taken out from the different layers of insulation, the plenum that we made, etc., that it's all good because it worked out in the end. And we have like 3/4 inch to spare if there's more experimentation later on. So let me drill some of these holes right quick to mount the back panel, and then we're going to drill the passage holes. Let me see how some of these go in. I just wanted to make sure they were going to pop through anything. Nope, looks good. All right, that's good. We got holes through, so got my practice right here. Perfect. All right, for the math that we did earlier, we're gonna have 1/2 inch holes on the sides, 3/4 hole in the middle, 5/8 holes. Add all that up, it's just larger than the square inches of a 4-inch fan, but there will be static pressure and frictional losses that are different as we're pulling air through here. So I'm going to make these to where you have more surface area for the heat to move than what you may need. All right. Damn. You know what? I was doing this. Before I make any more mistakes. So we've test fitted our back panel. That's good. So I'm going to take that back off. So there's our back panel. Test fit our back panel insulation, and that's also good, although it may never want to come back out. But that's okay. It has to. Oof. Be careful when drilling these because you don't want to go through the metal. So you get through the insulation and you'll just get through that piece of paneling and stop. You will feel it the instant it goes through the paneling. So I did 8 5/8, 1 3/4, and I'm going to do 4 1/2 inch. That should roughly give me about the same square footage, I'm sorry, square inches of the fan at its pi r squared at a 4-inch fan. What you're going to want to do after this, vacuum cleaner. Because this is that opportunity to try to get the bulk of this material back out. I'll flip this around after I clean it up. Okay. It's like a pencil in here. What's important when you do these is hold the suction on each one of these for a little bit to get anything you can out of this. So a couple of these did go through, but we'll use any of the spare pieces to fix that. So heads up on that. So the first iteration of this, and I popped through a few of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 4 of them. We'll just put a couple over top of that real quick. I'm not going to video that part, but I'll go ahead and just fix those. All right, I just flipped it back over. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I screwed over. I'll use those leftover pieces. But before I do that, I'm going to tilt this up and try to get any material to drop down. So that's any of the material from the back side where we were screwing. take a few pieces and I'm going to screw them over top of the pieces that are messed up. So, let me turn the vacuum off. Because I don't want any of the first pass air to get commingled yet. I want to try to reap the benefits of what we talked about earlier with preheating the air as it goes through. So I'll fix that one, and I'll fix this one. All right, we're just gonna swap out the drill bit for the 5/16 driver. Pop those in. This is what happens when you move stuff around. Who's to say it didn't go down into the vacuum? It almost did. And this won't be perfect by any means. You can always come in here and replace these if you mess any of these up. So it's good, probably, if you build one that's exact dimensions of this one, get 5 of these pieces of flashing instead of 4. So if you mess up, you will have extra pieces. So one thing I've not drilled yet is the first pass airflow. So first pass will be drilled up here, and then comes underneath here, then flows down through the plenum I made in the back. So these patches are probably more snug than they need to be, but you know, lesson learned. and I won't be able to put back screws on there, just these front ones for this patch. All right, now let me put this back piece I had on here before. Trying to look through the airflow gets directed. That's kind of what I'm trying to use this piece. All right, that's good. I'm going to spray paint this in here black later, and these edges and sides and all that stuff. Let's finish the back, and then we'll spray paint the glass. Okay, so get the holes, everything's vacuumed, cleaned up. We're going to put the last piece of insulation on. And then we'll put the last piece of wood. And then we got to mount the fan. One thing we can do is to give us just one more piece of insulation, one more air gap, is we can take the 4 pieces that we have, we can stick them in like this, and then we put our piece of wood on top of that. Now what that does require from us, if we do that, would be, it's a very good discipline for that fan. So that's one idea that you could do. I'm not going to do it because I want to cut the hole for the fan one time, and I don't want to have like a 1-inch gap in there. So that's an idea. If you wanted to have one more air gap back here for something, but you could always come back and have that as well. All right. So this is our last thing to do before we come back to the front side. Let's put this in here. Yeah, and it's tight. So I'm gonna tap this one edge in here and just get a bit. Or 2 edges. And I had pre-drilled holes a while ago, so as I had test fit everything. So we will put all those screws back in. front because I don't want to be flip-flopping back and forth. We're going to cut the hole for our fan. All right. We're not going to use the actual fan. That's that hole. So we are going to use some pieces of duct tape off. So that's what we'll trace for that. All right, I'm gonna put the fan right about here. This is where we have to get it right. All right. So instead of the drill bit, I'm going to go ahead and use the paddle bit because I'm pretty sure I can control it a lot better. So be super careful with this. The next thing I'm going to grab my jigsaw. All right, this is exactly where we're working. So, shorter. Because this is it's a pretty long jigsaw player. So let me swap that out real quick. Make sure you unplug when you swap out blades. Yes, there's no way I'm getting through that other part. Ay, caramba! My bad. I thought it was in. Do I have the... it may not be compatible. There we go. Oh, never mind. I didn't have it seated in there. That time I tried to turn too much and popped it out. All right, so I went ahead and drilled that hole out. I vacuumed everything up, and I'm gonna tell you, this is one heck of a fan. This one will go up to 180 CFM, and it is controllable from a dial. And that's why I got this, because I wanted to see, you know, what was gonna be the optimal RPM, etc. But as soon as I cranked it on and cranked it up, it started pulling material out of the hole. Look at that, for anything that was left in there. That's pretty impressive, right? So I'm using this as one last vacuum in there, and then I'm gonna put the gratings on either side of it so nothing can ever get jammed up in there. And then my idea is later that I take flex duct and mount flex duct on here and get it going. So this thing is pretty impressive. All right. Now I also took, this is like door weather seal material to make a gasket. So I took the material and I just laid it on top and cut the pieces and cut in between, etc. Peeled the backing, stuck it on. Since this is gonna be, this will be the top of it, I want the wire pointed down, so that's probably good right there. I did take a 3/16 drill bit, and I'm drilling these out some so that then I can run a 3-inch screw down through the top of this and through the grates and into the insulation, so this will hold in place. So that's pretty much the step I'm at right now. Oh, it sounds like it's slowing down. It's all right. All right, and like I said, I want the wire pointed down. I want grating on both sides of the fan. So I'm going to put the grating over the fan and go ahead and start my screw in there. And then I'm going to get my, before I do that, I'm going to get my 1/8 inch, nah, I think it'll be fine because we got this template here. I was going to pre-drill those holes, but I think we're going to be fine this time. So, want to get these to where they've gone through and gotten the holes on the back side here. There we go. Every now and then you get a screw that has paint or something in it. I'll leave a link to all the materials I used in this build, so you know what kind of fan I used. You know all the dimensions and the type of wood and everything else. But I am just putting the grates on both sides of this because I don't want any leftover material, foreign debris, FOD, to come through here and jam up this fan while it's running. Because there is the ability that I didn't get everything out. And you'll have that same issue. All right, with this, I'm going to back these up a little bit so that I'm flush, so I can make sure I'm centered before I punch it down. pretty good right there. Wires facing down. Maybe I should have pre-drilled. If you have issues with this thing adhering or staying fastened or whatever, then you can caulk around it. I'm backing this up because I noticed that it rode up just a little bit when it was going in. All right, now solidly, that is, we are done with the back. We're gonna move back to the front, and I'll move back to where I'm no way gonna be in front of the camera or whatever. So that's that. We still need to drill the initial inlet holes. So I'm gonna disconnect the fan for right now. Hold it up like that. And remember, the initial inlet holes are down here. So I'll rotate. I can show how those go in. Our fan's dragging a little bit back there. There we go. All right. Now you probably get a really good view of where we're going to be working right here. So I'm going to pop the pilot holes this way so that I'm right here in the valleys. So the pilot holes will go where they're supposed to go. And again, this is the bottom. So the air will come up across. The air is going to go under, and the air is going to go up the plenum I built in the back and out through the fan. So let me get our pilot drill. The good thing is, when you lay the drill in here, the drill just follows this valley, and it's not hard to mess this up. But you will need to tilt down a little bit, because if you follow the valley, it's tilted a little too far up. So I would tilt it to where it's just below the plane of the two ridges that come up together. So maybe it's a 1/4 inch below that plane. Now, I'm going to drill every single one of these at 5/8. So I'm not going to go back and forth with any other sizes. Why? Because we do have frictional losses going through the insulation in the back, and I think all of these should be the same size. So I've got all my pilot holes here. I'm just going to come right on in and drill all those. And then we'll vacuum this stuff out. Then tomorrow when the sun comes out, we'll be ready to test. It's hard to get these little pieces off and look at the glove in there. And stick my hand in here and try to break off all these little pieces that we don't want to obstruct the airflow or become missile hazards or anything like that. Probably want to put some screen material over the base of this too, so no bugs can come through. work on the last thing we need to do is lay the glass in and then put our trim pieces to hold the glass in place. Let me check the glass fitment. Back up some so we can see everything. There we are. There we go. All right, now it's in there really good. And I can tell you one of the things I'm going to want to do. So I'm going to want to put some of that gasket material on top of here, just as a safety net. As we put the trim pieces on, I'd rather, if I've got dimensions off any little bit, I'd rather any play in the glass get absorbed through the gasket material. So putting the gasket material right up on the edge of the glass or at the edge of the wood, all the way down. Very nice. I just redid my front door again with this stuff, so this is what I had left over. And I had an idea that I would want to use it on this project, and just so happens I definitely do. So again, I'm getting just right at the edge of the glass and the wood, all the way up and down. Push it down real nice in the corner there. And I'll come down both of these sides as well. one last thing I need to do before I put the trim on is I still have to paint inside the box. So let me take a break for a minute. I'll run this outside and paint it and be right back. All right, just took it outside. I painted any of the surfaces under the glass that could come in contact with the sun black. And then I'm gonna lay the glass right up in there. And then we can put the trim pieces in that'll hold the glass in place. There we go. All right, so I did 1x3 for these trim pieces. And I'll go opposite of what we did when we put it together because, I'll do it just like that, all right? That way we cover all of that gap. So let me see, yeah, if we go up, yeah. If we cover it like this, you'll cover any gaps that you have where it came together. Okay, that's what we'll do. So let me get my tape measure out. It's 33. So that's what it was before, which is fantastic. So we need 2, 33. All right, let me get these right quick. Swap out this drill bit. Be careful when screwing these down because you don't want to break that glass. So if you're not super flush on here, you don't want to go super flush and get a crack in it, etc. And then I'm going to put a couple angled this way, up here. do that end real quick. And then we'll measure for these side pieces. Everything put together with screws so we can take things apart, redo things, whatever. Easy to work on. All right, our last two pieces, and then we'll be ready for testing tomorrow. All right, looks like 34 and a half. And 34, just shy of 34 and a quarter. So that's where we weren't square. We found it. Take a little piece off of this one. All right, for these, I'm going to angle them back. Sure don't want to come in contact with the glass. Well, but it's easier to see where the glass is now. So I can backing up the side piece to the gasket to give me much more surface area on the other side into the wood. All right, that's a wrap. So I'm gonna stand it up and take a look at the finished product. And fantastic. It's like, can you get far enough back to trim this thing? All right, so when we do the test tomorrow, we'll make sure that it's kicking back so the air can come up through the bottom, come up to the top, come down through the drip edge, come back up through the plenum we made in the back, and come out through the fan. So let's do a test right quick. I'll bring this over to the edge of the table. Oh yeah. All right, it's going to be ready for tomorrow when we do our test. All right, that's it for tonight.